On the model railway, there are 3 engines who live happily together. First, there's Henry, the green engine. He often pulls expresses and long freight trains. Then, there's Percy, the small engine. He usually just shunts and crashes into things. Then, there's Red, the red engine. He just pulls trains and stuff. One day, the 3 engines were waiting for the Fat Controller. Yes, he runs this railway too. Suddenly, he pulled up in his car.
Okay, you 3, I have your daily jobs. Percy, I will need you to shunt in the yards. Red? Yes, sir. I will need you to take the express. And Henry? Yeah. I will need you to take the goods train to Maithwaite today.
And with that, Red happily puffed away to fetch the coaches. Percy was just finishing clearing the sidings when the Fat Controller came up.
Percy, I have awful news. Henry is just derailed, and I will need you to take the freight train today.
Okay. Soon, Percy arrived at the station and collected his trucks. Percy pulled his hardest, but the train was very heavy. Just as Percy came through the tunnel, he saw disaster ahead. Up ahead, a taxi had stalled on the tracks, and Percy was heading straight towards it. His driver shut off steam and applied the brakes. He stopped just in time. A few minutes later, a workman had managed to push the car off the line, but just as Percy was about to start again, he heard a noise that made him shudder. "Oh no!" he cried. For heading towards him down the line was Red with the express. Percy tried to move back, but the weight of the train was too heavy. "Look out!" Red cried. And all went black. The next morning, Henry was waiting at the sheds after returning from crew when Red came up. He seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Henry. Red said nothing. He just stared. After what seemed a very long while, he finally managed to speak. There was an accident," he said. "Well, with who? Was anyone hurt?" "I hit Percy." Henry said nothing. There was a car on the tracks, and Percy was sitting there, and I couldn't stop in time. Neither engine said anything. They took what was left from the wreckage, but there wasn't much. I'm afraid that both engines were interrupted by the Fat Controller.
"I'm afraid," he said, "but we did manage to clear what was left of Percy from the wreckage, but we couldn't fix him. There just wasn't enough to fix."
Nobody said anything for a long while. Then Red finally spoke up. "It's all my fault," he said. "If I had just stopped it—" "That's ridiculous," said Henry. "It's not your fault. You couldn't have stopped in time even if you didn't have those heavy coaches."
"He's right,"
said the Fat Controller. "It's not your fault, Red. No one blames you. Nobody could have stopped that soon. I have to go." Red said nothing. Neither did Henry. It was finally, after a few long hours, that Red finally saw something that completely shattered him. For there, on the next track, was a flatbed, and a very battered, what was left of the steam engine, with a tarp over what was left of its boiler, with scrap printed on it. Red said nothing. Henry said nothing. They just stared at the flatbed. Then, a few days later, something funny happened. Red finally spoke up to Henry. "Do you think he's happy?" he said to Henry.
"Who?"
"Percy.
"Where?"
Do you think he's happy in the next life?"
"Yes,"
said Henry. "I think he is." "Thanks," said Red. And the two sat. Finally, a glimmer of hope left in their lives. Red summoned a smile and prepared for his next train.